Welcome to From the Editor with Larry Gordon, where newsmakers unpack the stories shaping the Jewish community.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Larry Gordon, coming to you from the offices of the Five Towns Jewish Times, and my guest today is J. Philip Rosen, a fixture in the Five Towns, where this broadcast emanates from, in downtown Cedarhurst, New York. Phil Rosen is a well-known international attorney. And if you read his bio, it's too much for me to read right now. But one of the things I noticed, Phil, I mean, of course, you are deeply involved in, you're the chairman of the World Jewish Congress American section, and very much involved in the political scene, member of the board of the Yeshiva University. And I'm sure we'll get to touch upon other involvements, deeply involved in what's happening in the state of Israel, very close to Bibi Netanyahu. And I'm sure that you have a lot to say about something that happened as recently as yesterday, which I thought we exchanged a text this morning about it. But it says in your bio that you're, as an attorney, you're an expert in the Middle East now, doing business in the Middle East. Now, that's quite that must be very, very extraordinarily complicated. More than any other place in the world, I would think. Is there something unique that you have found that allows you to do business there?
It's kind of amazing. I mean, we, many years ago at the firm, 20 years ago or so, we made a decision that we wanted to do business in Israel and the rest of the Middle East. And a couple of partners and I and one of the associates went on a trip to Israel and then to 7 Arab countries, including Saudi Arabia. This is 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait.
King Faisal?
King Faisal was still active. And we met with literally every business leader and every political leader in Israel and the
Crown Prince must have been Crown Prince was a teenager.
Crown Prince was young. He was young. He was imposing still, because he's a big guy and he's tall and he's imposing. He sits on the crown. He sits on the throne, and it's a very imposing presence.
He's the Crown Prince, you know.
As he said to somebody, or I heard that he said that the Saudi Arabia probably will have a separate agreement when they're ready, rather than be part of the Abraham Accords. And
so
the reason
must have said that recently,
because they're the kingdom. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. They are the kingdom.
It's like Mel Brooks said in Blazing Saddles. It's good to be king.
It's good that you compared, not me. I did not compare the king to Mel Brooks, but the Crown Prince to Mel Brooks, but Larry did. You
retired from the firm about a year ago.
I retired from the firm,
and you told me earlier today that you're busier than ever.
I've never been more active in my life.
Were you anticipating that when you retired?
No. I
you thought you were going to be able to retire and just sit back and relax?
I don't know. I see these pictures of retired people on the beach in Florida, and I've been to Florida 2 days since I was retired. I'm a little upset about that.
That's deceptive advertising.
Very deceptive.
Maybe you might have a lawsuit there.
Yeah, really.
You know? So what are you busy with? So what takes up most of your time these days?
So the World Jewish Congress takes up a lot of my time because particularly this year where anti-Semitism has grown so tremendously, and the job of the World Jewish Congress to be the diplomatic, fighter against anti-Semitism. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we get orders from State Department, Justice Department, everybody in the United States. And we go around the world fighting. I'll meet with, by the end of next year, I will have met with 20 heads of state, talking to them about what they can do to try to solve the issue in their country. And so if I go to England or I go to Canada, two particularly egregious places, or France, I will sit down with the head of state and I will say, this is unacceptable. And I am coming not just on behalf of the Jewish community, I'm coming on behalf of the United States of America. And Marco Rubio is the person who sent me. Mm-hmm. And here's his telephone number if you want to call him to verify
Got a
that he's
cell number.
behind
It's a
this.
cell number,
Of
I
course.
guess, right?
Of course.
Uh-huh.
I know Marco since he ran in the primaries against Trump.
Yeah, I remember. I went to one of those events.
He went to one of my events,
That's right, somewhere in
Right.
the city. I remember that event. So, as long as we're on the subject of anti-Semitism, it's a scourge that has plagued the world. It has really had very violent implications and unfortunate, devastating tragedies as a result of it. It used to be a post-Holocaust. I would say anti-Semitism was a concept largely, but somehow over the last few years, it has been put into practice. Those words finally got translated by the radicals into action. So this podcast will be on the internet forever. But I should say we're recording it 2 days before Zoran Mandami is going to be inaugurated as the mayor of New York City. So his platform is anti-Semitism.
Yep. Very troubling.
So how do you address that?
So for us, in New York, it's a little bit easier than traveling around the world to discuss it. We will sit down with him and a number of his advisors, including, I hope, the police commissioner, and talk about what they can do to help the Jewish community. I mean, the issue for us is manyfold. It's not just people talking about anti-Semitism, and it's not just the rallies. The rallies have to be shut down. They have to stop that. And they also have to put enough police support so that people don't feel that that they're being set on.
Well, one of the things they say he's known for through his campaign was defunding the police. He wants to send social workers out to domestic disputes, which I think it's a great idea until the first social worker gets shot.
Jessica won't let him do it. Jessica's, I know her for a long time. I know her family.
Yeah, does she have, what's the nature of their relationship then? Does she have some kind of edge over him, or he? Why did he sign her up again when you see who else he's bringing into the administration?
So I think what he wanted is to show the world that he's trying to help New York get safer. And that's why he retained the person who did a great job in the last few years of helping safety in New York. And I think that, he basically signed on. He said, if I can get her to join me, then I've got one of the people on the other side who's a leading name, and it may help me in terms of my future.
On that subject, a few weeks ago, there was a demonstration outside of a Nefesh B'Nefesh event at the Parkey Synagogue, I think it was, by Arthur Schneier's synagogue on the east side of Manhattan. And Mandami had a conversation the next day with his son, Mark Schneier, from the West Hampton Beach synagogue. And I had him here on the podcast, Rabbi Schneier, and he said something very interesting, which I'd like to follow up with you and your intimate knowledge in this area. He said that Mandami's position on Israel and the Jews is out of style. The most Muslim leaders in the world are not thinking in that direction anymore. Is that what you found? Are they ready to recognize Israel as and the Jews who live in Israel that constitute the Jewish state? Are they ready to recognize it as an equal?
So listen, Mark is correct that many of the leaders of Muslim countries are anxious to be part of the Abraham Accords and be part of Israel throughout. I mean, you've got Abu Dhabi and Dubai to start, Bahrain, and you'll have more. And I think every week we find out another Arab or African nation that's interested in signing on. That's true. That doesn't change the fact that there are Palestinians and Palestinian supporters who clearly have not signed on to the Abraham Accords. They haven't signed on to any accords because all they want to do is create problems and kill Jewish people. And
So we're talking about Hamas. We're talking about
not just Hamas.
Hezbollah.
It's
Legitimate governments?
No, it's Hezbollah, it's Hamas, it's Iran. It's, I would say, in the Palestinian Authority, you've got a good number of people that also support this same mindset that the only thing we care about is getting rid of the Jews, getting rid of the Israelis, getting rid of Israel, and getting rid of the Jews.
Well, we both know, being involved in Jewish life, through our since when we were born, we know that Israel's a tiny little state. You got to put your reading glasses on to see where it is on the globe or on the map. But the issue is, like, Bibi Netanyahu is in New York and in Florida now. Is he coming into New York? I mean, because
No, I don't think so.
He's not planning on coming to New York
Not
now.
this trip.
Not this trip.
He will.
I'm
He's
sure.
waiting for
I'm sure he
Mandavi
will.
to take over.
Yeah, he wants it to be a bracha levatala if he comes before January 1st.
Exactly.
Right. So, but so he had he's in Mar-a-Lago, and one of the things that after their meeting yesterday, the day before this is recorded, which was this is being recorded, like I said before, on December 30th. 2025. So yesterday, December 29th, you got to be careful with these timeless broadcasts to keep conscious of the context of time. One of the things that President Trump said was that he likes President Erdogan of Turkey, and that he said he was particularly instrumental in ousting Assad from Syria. So have you been to Syria?
No, it's one of the few countries I haven't been to.
But so I've
been to Lebanon, though.
Is that Lebanon seems to be, at least in the distance, if you take Hezbollah out of the equation, they seem to desperately want to live a normal life.
Getting Hezbollah out of the equation is not as easy as it looks.
They're half the country.
When I took Romney, I was head of Romney's Jewish effort.
Mitt Romney.
That'll
be 2012 approximately, right?
That was 2012 exactly. I took him twice to Israel. On the second trip, we went to all the borders, including the northern border. When we got there and we saw all the Hezbollah flags right across the border, Romney said to the prime minister later the same day, "You're not doing a half-ass job. You're doing a no-ass job of protecting the people in the north."
Uh-huh.
And he said, "You got to do better than that. There are flags all across the border. It's unacceptable behavior." You don't trust them so far.
I mentioned to you before when we were talking in the hallway that when my daughter was 10 weeks old, 45 years ago, I took a walk with her and my wife on the beach in Gaza,
Right.
And it was a beautiful sight. I think I saw what Donald Trump and the other Trump boys see in Gaza today.
Now, listen, it was a magnificent vacation place. There was a beautiful hotel in Gaza. There were all sorts of gorgeous beaches. And you know what? When the Israelis left in 2015, 2005, when they left
Gaza,
when they left Gaza and removed the entire Jewish community from Gaza, they left behind something that was absolutely beautiful. They had all sorts of, beautiful communities there. And
I knew people that lived there. One thing I'll never understand about that, if that was supposed to be the foundation to be able to create peace, why do they have to take the bodies out of their graves in Gaza and rebury them in Israel? What kind of gesture is that?
They understood that the Palestinians, being only interested in killing Jews, they would use the bodies as all sorts of horrible, tinder for fires or whatever they needed to do. You can see what they did on October 7th, the behavior of, the Hamas Palestinians and many of the Palestinians in Gaza. You can see that they don't have humanity as part of their picture. It's inhuman what they did to the hostages, what they did to the people.
We've heard it was 2 years long, 2 years plus. We got tired of hearing the word. Ran out of adjectives to describe it. I heard monsters and animals and all kinds of descriptions that lost their effectiveness because they were used every single day by different diplomats and different world leaders.
That's why I think it's important that the hostages are now actually telling the stories as to what happened to them. That young woman told the story about how she was raped by 4 different Hamas people. And,
you could say animals,
We need to hear that. We need to hear that. The world needs to hear that because, the anti-Jewish forces will negate anything that's said secondhand. And at least firsthand, what are they going to say? That she's lying? She's decided to spend 2 years in hostage captivity and now she's going to lie?
No, it's good that you're here. It's propitious, and it's good that you're here today because I got home just in time yesterday to watch the news conference that Netanyahu held together with Trump, and I thought I was watching something extraordinary and different than any time in the past. I saw his face shining. I saw Netanyahu's face shining, and I think I told you this morning that I thought I saw. I thought I saw a look in Trump's eyes that he was but grasping once again why he was saved from the assassination attempt.
I think your point's a very good one. I think that, I think Trump was saved. I'm hopeful that he continues to believe that he was saved. As, my next door neighbor in Israel is the ambassador. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, and he uses an expression. We had in my house, we had a magnificent welcome to Israel party for Huckabee. In my house, we had all the neighbors and a lot of leaders in Israel, business and political leaders, and he gave a speech, and he said that he believes very strongly in the words of the Torah that say that if you help the Jewish people, God will help you. And he believes that's the reason why he was appointed ambassador. He spent his whole life, he says, preparing for this moment. He said he's been to Israel 100 times.
Right.
He's brought thousands and thousands of groups of people to Israel to realize the importance of the country. And he said that now he's in a position to help the Jewish people, and he's going to continue to do so. I'm hopeful that Trump also.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful too. There are, Trump has more than 3 years to go in his administration, but the way the political leaders are acting and the political players, they're already trying to look what happens in the post-Trump era,
Well, I'm hopeful. There's a good number of strong Republicans who can take over after Trump finishes his term.
What's your feeling about J.D. Vance?
I don't know him enough. I don't know him well enough. I'm troubled by his association and his refusal to condemn Tucker Carlson, who is
a problem. Yeah.
Pure evil. Tucker Carlson, we used to think, because he was on Fox News, we thought he was something important, something good for us.
You wouldn't miss him any night. Always watching
him.
Right.
And then, he popped out of, you could call it popping out of the closet, but he popped out of where he was, and now he's become a vicious anti-Semite.
So but that didn't happen in a vacuum. He probably sold out. I mean, the people that write about it say that he's paid very handsomely, and his crew is paid very handsomely by Qatar.
That's what I've heard and I've read.
It's a cutter, as they say. I don't know. It's a machlekes how you're supposed to say it, but
either way, it's
have you been there? Have you been to Qatar?
No.
That's not a place you haven't been to yet.
And one of
the next trip.
If you've hit two places I haven't been to.
Yeah, but that's the next trip. I don't know. You have a U.S. Air Force base there. Yeah, I think you have 10,000 military stationed there, and Trump loves the king and the princes or whoever else is running the country.
Yeah.
You know, I think I read that the Qataris, people that are actually born and raised in Qatar, are just 20% of the population.
So I'll tell you, I met with the emir of Qatar,
Yeah.
Qatar,
yeah.
whichever
Right.
pronunciation you use. But I met with him years ago in the Mark Hotel. He was here for the UN conference, and somebody called me up, somebody politically involved, and said, "Phil, we'd love for you to meet with him and talk to him." I said, "I'll only do it if I could be blunt." And they said, "Well, you're going to be before and after two people who aren't going to be blunt. That's Mark Schneier and Shmuley Boteach.
Okay, so you were
one
in
was
between.
before me, one was after me."
Okay.
And I said, "I don't care who's before or after. I'm going to be blunt." So we had a conversation, took 40 minutes. But I started the conversation saying, "Your Excellency, let me talk first." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because I got a message to deliver."
Mm-hmm.
I told him the story about one of my good friends. His name was David Applebaum. He was
ER doctor at
ER
Shari Tzedek.
doctor, Shari Tzedek. And I brought a bunch of groups during the Intifada to meet with him. And each time he showed us the pellets taken out of people's bodies who were bombed or victims of bombings. And I said to him that I came for his daughter's wedding, and I was supposed to go out with him on Saturday night to have a coffee. And he called me up and he said, "No, I can't go with you, Phil. I'm taking my daughter out for the last time, father-daughter coffee." I said, "Great, I'll find somewhere else. I won't bother you." And while I'm sitting in one of the cafes in Jerusalem, I hear an explosion. And the cafe that David was in with his daughter,
Cafe Hello,
blew up.
Yeah.
And he was killed. She was killed.
Right.
So the next day, instead of a wedding, I attended a double funeral. And I said to Yamir, I said, "Your Excellency, you're responsible for that.
Mm-hmm.
You paid for the bomb. You paid for the bombers. You paid for the little nails in the bombs. You paid for everything that happened."
What was his
day.
reaction?
I said, "Sir, I'm sitting here talking to you, but I'm embarrassed that I'm here because you don't deserve to be talking to a Jewish person. You don't deserve this accolades that you're getting from the American community."
What was his reaction?
He turned to one of his relatives, who's the foreign minister, said, is all that true?" And of course, the foreign minister said, "Yes, it's true." And he said, "Is there something we could talk about?" I said, "Sir, I will do anything in the world to try to get the Hamas issue taken care of, to try to get peace for the Israelis. I'll do anything I can." I said, "If you want to talk to me, talk to me. I'll set up meetings. I'll go anywhere in the world to meet with you." Because this is in my mind, the reason I'm in these places to talk to these people is solely to help Israel. Solely, as Mike Huckabee says, this is why God put me.
So that was 20 years ago.
That was 20 years ago.
So what has changed? Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. In fact, some people say because it's maintained its place, it's gotten worse.
So I don't know if you can tell me I'm sure you've spoken to Marco Rubio about it.
I've spoken to Marco a lot about it.
What does he have to say? If you would, to the extent that you could say what he had to say.
Marco has given me authorization to go around the world to fight anti-Semitism on his behalf, in his name. So I go into meetings and I say to foreign dignitaries or foreign leaders, I say, "I'm here for the Jewish community. I'm the chairman of the World Jewish Congress American section." I said, "But I'm also here because the State Department has asked me to come here and deliver messages from them." I said, "I meet every 2-3 weeks with somebody in the State Department, and there's 20, 30 people all across that building on 22nd Street all across the building who are now helpful to the fight against anti-Semitism.
Mhm.
It's a whole different world than it was during, the Clinton State Department or some of the others.
Obama.
Right, all of them. I think this is a different State Department. 50% of the people are gone, and the 50% that's there have to tread the path that Marco
that was
put
the
for them.
problem during the first administration, President Trump. He didn't
replace.
The mechanism that he had working for him was really working against him.
Right. He made a mistake not replacing all those people.
Right.
Marco came in and immediately fired 50% of the people in the State Department.
So how do you read what's going on? There seems to be contradictory events in the world. You have Mandami coming in as mayor of New York, with globalize the Intifada as one of his credo, and Mohammed bin Salam talking about joining the Abraham Accords. Do the radicals in New York and the pro-Hamas people that march in Bensonhurst, do they have any connection to any of the Arab countries, or is this?
The only thing I would say is that there are a lot of people who believe that Qatar and some of the other bad Arab leaders or bad Arab countries are financing the protest rallies and pushing them forward. In Israel, there is no left wing, and that's the unbelievable part. The left wing has become a very, very small part of the political scene. So you don't have people in Israel protesting like you do in New York.
You did up until October 7th.
You did,
Yeah.
but it's not today.
Yeah.
And I look at today as being the key issue. So I think right now the message has to be transferred to the protesters. I mean, I wrote an article which the famous columnist Sivan Rachav Meir just quoted from. I wrote an article in the Five Towns Jewish Times,
Right.
calling the Israeli young people the greatest generation.
Right.
And I truly believe that. Sivan Rachav Meir also believed it, and she handed in her article some proof. She showed that compare the Greta Thunberg and the protest rally generation that you have in the United States, the anti-Israel, anti-Jewish packs of people, and compare that to what you have in Israel. You have people, thousands of people, who didn't have to wait 1 second, didn't have to wait for the orders from their commanders. They put on their uniforms and they went south.
Right.
Before their commanders even ordered them to do anything. You've got people who jumped into situations throughout the 2 years.
So how do you bring the college campuses around to catch up to Arab leaders that want to establish relations with Israel?
So you start with what has happened at Columbia and some of the other schools, which is you reach a deal with the schools that has them working harder to fight anti-Semitism on campus and not allowing protest rallies, anti-Semitic protest rallies to continue. And it's not easy. You have to do it school by school. You have to do it group by group, but you have to do it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, but that's what we're in, and we've got to stop it. So got to work hard to do so.
So just summing up, what do you think the amount of time it takes to turn around the generation, to start looking at Israel and
It's
Jews?
not easy. It's not easy. I'll tell you, there's some good signs. I mean, obviously, birthright has been spectacular in
Right.
bringing almost 1 million college students to Israel, and having them jump on the bandwagon for support for Israel and become Zionist and become, strong supporters. That's the beginning. The other beginning is all of these movements that people have started. Suddenly, thank God, you've got some billionaires who have the resources, who have jumped on the bandwagon to try to provide help for the fight against anti-Semitism. Like Robert Kraft has done a magnificent job
Right.
with his organization. Then you've got Bill Ackman, Dan Loeb, all sorts of people that didn't before have a real strong connection to Yahadus or to the fights that we have against anti-Semitism. But they're aboard now, and they're aboard in a big way, and I think that'll help. You know, we don't have the money that Qatar has,
Right.
but we have enough money that we can fight back against this scourge.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up. There's a lot more to talk about, of course, and
Great.
hopefully we'll have the opportunity to do it again in the future.
By the way, the meetings are going great between Trump and Netanyahu.
And
I
Bibi.
don't know if you heard, Bibi gave a speech about Trump, and he said, "I never felt this in my life, but I really feel that I've got a friend, but a friend who understands all of my needs and concerns," meaning my country's needs and concerns.
He's
in the
giving
White
him,
House.
awarding him the Israel Prize for first
Yeah.
time for a non-Israeli,
time.
as he announced.
I think it's great.
First time in 77 years that's going to happen. People are offering Trump. They don't want to give him the Peace Prize, but he's getting other prizes.
He's getting other
from
prizes.
every
That's
conceivable
okay.
direction.
That's
So,
okay.
Phil, thanks very much for your time
Thank
and
you, Larry. I
providing us with
appreciate
some
it.
insight. And we hope to have the opportunity to do it again soon.
I look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it, guys.